Are you curious about moving to Beaverton, Oregon? It's nestled just west of Portland. Beaverton is more than just a location. It's a large city that offers a suburban and urban mix and has a lot to offer. And in this video, we're going to discuss the pros and cons of living in Beaverton, so you can discover if Beaverton is the right fit for you, and we're getting after it right now.
If you are new to our channel, hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you can get our latest videos on all things Portland life. We get calls, texts, and emails weekly from people just like you who are making the move to Portland area and would love the help. All of our info is in the description below, so reach out and let's set up a call.
So Beaverton, Oregon is located just west of Portland. It's a suburban/urban mix known for its diverse community, location on the west side, and the proximity to outdoor recreational opportunities. It's also home to big companies like Nike. Beaverton offers a lot of job opportunities, including in the tech industry, and it's characterized by lush parks, which includes the Tualatin Hills Nature Park, which is appealing for a lot of people, as well as its diverse neighborhoods for both young professionals and families, because it kind of has a urban vibe, suburban opportunity there.
Beaverton's home to over 98,000 residents, meaning it's one of our largest cities on the west side and encompasses many businesses as well as a variety of neighborhoods and types of living. However, the cost of living can be relatively high, and traffic congestion is a common challenge. Overall, Beaverton provides a blend of urban amenities and a more relaxed lifestyle, making it an attractive option for those seeking urban experiences near the Pacific Northwest's natural beauty.
So today we're talking about the pros and cons of Beaverton, and the first pro that we're going to get into with living in Beaverton is the location. Its proximity is pretty convenient, right?
Yeah, the location on Beaverton is great because it's bordered by two highways and it's very close to the third highway. So you've got 217 on the east side of Beaverton, you've got Highway 26 on the north side of it, and then you're pretty close to I-5 still. So you're really at a great apex to meet all of your transportation needs as well. They've got a lot of mass transit in terms of like the MAX train and buses.
Yep.
So it's really kind of just that perfect location. You're just outside of the city, maybe 10, 15 minutes, even in some traffic. So that's really just prime. And then you're so close to getting out for the nature aspects.
Absolutely. I mean, there are some areas that are very urban feeling in Beaverton, like you can live in close into downtown Beaverton or off Farmington or TV Highway, where you could potentially be walking distance from different things, including, like she said, the mass transportation. And it's really close to Southwest Portland. So there's some, I don't want to say back roads, but you can take some roads without having to necessarily get on the freeway to get into Portland proper, or even to downtown Portland. You're close to the freeway. So it's location-wise, it's pretty close to a lot of things. And if you work out in the tech area, or you work at Nike, or you're just kind of on the west side, it's such a big city that you can kind of be on different points of Beaverton and get anywhere kind of fast. So it's one of our better options for folks that are living on the west side. And we'll talk about other reasons why there's some pretty big pros to living in Beaverton.
It's kind of a nice option too for those people who want to be close to Portland. They want to be able to go into Portland often, but they don't want to live right in Portland.
Yeah.
So you're not having that long commute, stuck on a highway or anything like that. And that's
you're
really,
Washington County.
Exactly. So Washington County is generally a little bit more favorable on taxes, especially like property taxes. So definitely a big positive there.
Yeah, and to add to that, there are parts of what are kind of considered Southwest Portland that are still Washington County.
Yep.
So they fall in that Washington County. They're technically kind of that Beaverton zone, but they might say Portland on it. And a lot of people look for properties in Washington County that are kind of close to Southwest, because a lot of people want to be close to Southwest Portland, but they just want that property tax or that Washington County status.
Beaverton's like the perfect location when you want to be close to Portland, but you don't want to be in Portland.
Exactly.
So another big pro to the Beaverton location is its outdoor recreation, which might be a little bit surprising because you're just outside the city, but still very close. However, there's a lot of really cool like walking trails, and as we mentioned in the introduction, the Tualatin Hills Nature Park. It's a huge complex. It's got pools inside, it's got softball, baseball fields, soccer fields. Generally, you're gonna find that a lot of sporting events are held here, whether they're recreational leagues or even for schools, because it's such a big venue. And then around that, you've got walking trails. There's the Cooper Mountain Nature Park. Everywhere you look, you've got some walking trails to be on, which is fantastic. We've got Powerline Trails, which is out in like the Murray Hill. That's a deeper area into Beaverton, but it goes through the Progress Ridge and Murray Hill area. So it's really an ideal location for if you want that like feeling of safety and to be outside running, walking, biking. There's options for everybody. So wouldn't you agree, Ann?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of nice because they blend, it's suburban living, but they're blend in a lot of that nature-esque that a lot of us want, whether we're biking or walking or we want to go for a run and you don't feel like you have to go so far out or go venture into the gorge to get it.
Or even if you just want to have a nice walk with your dog. We've got a lot of options for the pets too.
Dog parks.
So many dog parks, just, built for them, off leash, so that they can run and play and have a good safe area. And a lot of them are all multi-weather, but they've got a winter area and then they've got a summer area because we do get wet. So lots of options for everybody to be out in nature year round.
The third pro of living in Beaverton is that there is a diversity of housing. And obviously, one of the things that we talk about a lot is density, because Portland needs housing. And instead of, Beaverton being just a kind of a bedroom community, they have a really big mix. I mean, we've got townhomes, condos,
everything,
planned communities, older communities. We've got infill lots. It's kind of like a very eclectic amount of housing in there. And there's still some land in Beaverton, so we still see them building. The city has required that a lot of builders do, density building when they do new construction. So if you're out looking at new construction, you're going to see usually a variety of single-family homes, townhomes, and then affordability is a really big push right now. So they're going to try to mix in affordability inside of any new construction, but there's a lot of variety. So when people come to us and they're like, hey, I want to be on the west side, my price point's between $450 and $500 or $500 and $600, you can usually find some kind of inventory. You could even probably find some condos and townhomes under $400 if you had to. You won't really find single family homes in that price point per se, but it does offer a lot of variety. I mean, the price ranges go from $4s up to over $1 million depending on the neighborhoods. It's really spread out. So you can get any kind of neighborhood, it seems like, out there. You're not going to find a lot of older homes like on the east side where you have like the bungalows. You're going to find a lot of homes built in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s on up. But there's a lot of inventory to choose from depending on where you want to live in Beaverton.
Yeah, it's kind of really cool in the sense that you do, so Beaverton's about just under 20 square miles. And you have the older neighborhoods if you want a bigger yard. You've got the newer neighborhoods that have a variety of everything in them. We also have a lot of I kind of call them detached townhomes, but they're called alley entrance properties. So you get the detached home, you just don't have a lot of yard to take care of, but you're getting everything in these neighborhoods. So regardless of your budget, you should be able to find something that meets your needs, between a condo to a detached older home that's got a big old yard on it, if that's what you're looking for.
So we want to share some neighborhoods that are pretty popular right now, or known to be popular when people start searching in Beaverton, as well as the new additions, you could say. The first new addition is Mountainside.
Oh, it's a huge area. Huge. Absolutely huge. It probably started, what would you say, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago? They started breaking ground on it. And it has just continued to expand west and south of the Beaverton area where it's located. But it's a big area. You can find a lot of what you were looking for in terms of single family townhomes or condos, like we were mentioning.
Or single family homes. It's off Shoals Ferry Road. It intersects with Roy Rogers and it expands out from there. What used to be the urban growth boundary and farmlands is no longer. And if you drive out there today, you're going to see mass expansion happening. And it's probably going to go on for several more years. But there's a brand new high school called Mountainside right there at the corner of Shoals and Roy Rogers. And it looks like a fortress. I mean, it really is massive.
Huge. Absolutely.
But it goes to show the population growth is happening. And so there's a ton of explosion and growth around that area. Kind of butts up against like the Gold Mountain Tigard area as well as Sherwood. You actually have 3 addresses right up that corner. But that is really where a lot of the newer development is happening. Erica, what are some other neighborhoods in the Beaverton area that people focus on?
So pretty close to Mountainside is Progress Ridge. That's a great area, very walkable. It's got a lot of the same mix of different types of properties that people are looking for. There's the Waterhouse area that's a little bit closer to 217. and that area of Beaverton. Cedar Hills is it's an older neighborhood. There's
probably one of the few older neighborhoods, like in the 60s is when it was built.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's got some really large lots, some really established
older ranches.
Yep.
People have modernized them.
Yeah, it's a fantastic area. I used to go running out there all the time. So it's got a lot of trails around there as well. And then Cooper Mountain is pretty close, and they've got a little bit of new construction going on there. But again, it's a little bit older, especially up on top of the hill, and you can get some cool like small acreage options up there. They do come with a pretty price tag, but they're out there. So yeah.
Another pro of living in Beaverton is there's a lot of job opportunities in the area. Two we always mention is Nike World Headquarters is located smack dab in the middle of Beaverton. In fact, there's an awesome running trail.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's awesome. We go there
the berm. You run the berm.
It goes all the way around the Nike campus, which is really impressive to go see. But that is a great area that you can, a lot of athletes and people that like to run, walk, or whatnot go around there. But Nike is a huge employer in Beaverton. It's a big reason why people move out to the area, and then they start to explore the Beaverton area and our surrounding. But there's other companies like Intel has a campus out there called AFO, which is kind of the Aloha Beaverton campus. But there's a lot of job opportunities surrounding the Beaverton area. So a lot of people want to move to Beaverton so they don't have to make long commutes. And being that Beaverton is so big, they're taking a look at like, what are all the neighborhoods have to offer? So if you're moving to the area and you're getting employed in the Beaverton area, it makes sense for you to explore what are the neighborhoods surrounding the Beaverton area.
Yeah. The other nice thing is that we generally find if we've got, people who have a, multi-income household, and they've got one person that works over here and one person that works over here, Beaverton is usually a good place in the middle. So another reason to kind of check it out.
Great point. So we want to dive into the last pro, which is housing options, which, as we mentioned before in this video, there's a lot of variety of options in the Beaverton area, and really comes down to pricing, depending on what your range is.
The nice thing is that Beaverton has a big range. I mean, if you are, in that like $400,000 range, you can still find something. And then obviously it goes all up from there. But there is something for everybody between condos, townhomes, and the single family homes. Even if your budget is a little bit more limited, you can find something that's going to work for you, which is fantastic because, it allows for options. Yeah.
And if you're looking for newer or even new construction, like we just ran across this week, some really good options that are new construction in the high 500s, which a lot of times here our average price range is $592. So it's really tough to find affordable housing. And when you look at new construction, oftentimes the price tag can be higher than some of its resale counterparts.
It is.
And a lot of people want newer.
Well, the nice thing though with newer, and part of the reason that, it is a higher price point and something good to think about, is that everything's new and you get a warranty from the builder. So, you're not going to have to think about maintenance for a little while. And that's some peace of mind. So when you move into your home, you don't have to worry about your furnace for, a while. You don't have to worry about water heater, roof, any of those things. And if something does come up in that first year, especially, you have a home warranty to come to rely on with the builder. So that is generally why it's a little bit more expensive, but also offers a lot of peace of mind. And the fact that you can get that in the 500s.
Yeah.
And even slightly, I've seen some in the 4 for like townhomes or condos, and that's fantastic. So, it definitely offers a lot of options, something for everybody for sure.
It really does. In fact, we toured a new construction site that had views. So if you want a view, you can get those in Beaverton. You are going to pay higher prices for views. But we've seen, there's just such a variety of types of homes and what you can get. Now, if you're sensitive to locations because of commutes, or if there's a certain school district you're after, you will have to assess that. Beaverton is massive, so it's not, it's not necessarily one size fits all. You have to do your homework. We always encourage people that if you have children or anticipate having children, you should look at the school districts and which one might fit you the best, because that will dictate your price range, your neighborhoods, the type of housing you can get, and so on. So it's a big area to explore. And if you have questions about how to assess it, let us know. We're happy to help. So we're jumping into the cons of living in Beaverton. Every city has it. And we're going to start off with cost of living. While we have mentioned that it is affordable to some degree, finding housing, it's gotten really unaffordable all throughout Portland. But even in Beaverton used to be where we could find people houses.
It was a kind of this place that we would push people to, didn't want to be or couldn't afford to be right in the city. It was affordable. You could get something for $350 and, it was nice. And now, as we mentioned, previously, it's a little bit more expensive. It's still affordable, but it's not as affordable as it used to be.
Yeah.
So that is an unfortunate factor, and that's just kind of life in general for most locations right now. But as we mentioned, you're probably about in your mid 500s to get into a newer home or even a resale home in the Beaverton area.
Yeah, and I would say like some of the prime neighborhoods that people hear about or do research on, like Murray Hill, Waterhouse, or if you're going
or even Highland. I mean, the Highland area,
absolutely
highly desirable, but
the Oaks, like even going over Highway 26, where you're still in a Beaverton address, it has gotten very expensive in those areas. It's not uncommon to see, 800, 900,000 for prime neighborhoods that people really love and adore in Beaverton, but that's because a lot of the starter homes have gone up. Everything's gotten pushed up. So, it is expensive. It's not a cheap place to live.
No.
It's not the most expensive place. And like we said, we can find options for people if they're on a limited budget, but it's not what it used to be. And you don't want to go into it with the mindset that you're going to find a smoking deal or it's going to be dirt cheap in Beaverton, because relatively speaking, it's not.
And something else to keep in mind is that there are some neighborhoods, especially I'm going to call out Murray Hill, Sexton Mountain, where property taxes tend to run higher.
Yep.
And some of that has to do with like local measures and bonds and stuff like that have been passed in the past. But that is a big factor when you're looking at what you can afford monthly, is making sure that when you find the house, you see what those property taxes are, because that can greatly affect where your mortgage comes in every month. So, that's just unfortunate, the way that it is, but definitely be checking your property taxes for these different
and also with all these brand new schools that we talk about that we've been building, they're thrown into the property taxes. So the biggest probably con living in Beaverton is the traffic.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a big spread out city, and there's a lot of major, like what we call artery roads. They're not highways, but they're main roads like TV Highway, Farmington, Murray. You get on those roads and it feels like congestion. It's
it's just a row of traffic. That's all you can see, especially during these heavy traffic periods like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And our traffic tends to run a pretty wide range. So, I would say usually about 2:30, you're starting to see traffic pick up.
Yeah.
And that runs all the way through like 6 or so. But the unfortunate thing is that our cities are pushing density.
Yeah.
They're wanting us to build denser because we have the urban growth boundary, which prevents our sprawl. So we have to densify everything that we have. And all that does is create more traffic in these areas. And you can be sitting, it may only be 5 miles, but that could take you 25, 30 minutes to get across town.
It's interesting because a good point or example of that is there's a road called Murray Road. If you look on a map, it's one of the longer roads that combines. It goes up to Highway 26 and it tees out at Shoals Ferry. So it's a long road, but it doesn't take you that long if there's no traffic. But if you get stuck on that road on major times, it can take a while to get through that. And then you think, well, gosh, should I just have taken the freeway around, right? Because those are like where everybody has to decide, like, depending on the time of day, you might have to take the freeway. It may not be that much better, but it might be better than getting stuck light after light after light.
Well, and even places like around Nike. They have their own traffic people sometimes because the congestion just gets to be so much. You have Nike is literally in the middle of some businesses. You're close to like a Fred Meyer's and a Costco, but you also have homes right across the street and then a big gym. So there's just people all around. And
they're all trying to go home at the same time.
Again, these lights are only so long and it gets heavily congested because there's so many people trying to move
and
around.
That's a good point to keep in mind if you're looking in Beaverton and let's say you are commuting, because sometimes on a map it's super deceiving to say, oh, that's only like 6 miles away, but that can actually take you 45 minutes. Whereas if maybe this neighborhood over here, you can go around the freeway area and get there faster. So it's just something to keep in mind as you're kind of, looking at traffic patterns for commuting.
And if your commute is of importance to you, definitely talk to us about that because we've lived in the area for I've been here for 20 plus years and Anne's lived here all her life. So those are the things that we know about is these traffic patterns around these areas of high congestion. There's actually some of the churches around here that have to hire traffic control as well because there's so many people coming through on the weekends. So definitely, if traffic's an issue for you or a sensitive spot, then talk to us about that when you think about your move.
So the other con is urban sprawl. Now, I don't know how you feel about urban sprawl. We know a lot of people who move here from like Arizona, Nevada, or places where it's really, really common. But in Beaverton, it's actually the one place where we're having the most amount of growth. It's just, we're pushing out to all the limits. Wherever there's land, we're building. There still is land here, but also it's just more people, more density. We kind of beat the dead horse on density, but the reality is that if you're not into like that urban sprawl or that density.
And the cookie cutter look to some degree. I mean, with the new construction, you get the same look in these homes. And you know, the nice thing is with the older homes, they've had 30, 40 years to diversify and, you know, for people to remodel them and change their look and make them unique. However, you come into a lot of these new neighborhoods and it's kind of like driving around a track. You've got the same house several different ways, maybe just the door on the other side. So if that's not quite your vibe, then, you know, that's something to think about is that we do, you know, it's kind of cookie cutter and
we have a lot of the big box builders out here like Lennar, Pacific Lifestyle Homes, David Weekley, and they all build out here, but they build a lot of
the same house.
There's not a lot of customization and the neighborhoods look really, like she said, similar, and you're probably not going to get a lot of yard. So that's the other thing about what we're talking about is if you don't want a big yard, then you're all set. But if you're like hoping for a bigger yard, it's better to look at the older homes because while you might have to update them, you can't change the yard size. So it's always that balance of, okay, I want newer everything and have it be all done, or I really want the yard and I want, you know, a little bit more of a non-homogeneous looking neighborhood. So something to keep in mind. And of course, lots of people, lots of density, lots of growth. You know, we used to look at the farmlands and now we're looking at, you know, new construction. So something to keep in mind if you're looking at living in Beaverton. I know a lot of people think that's a negative. So
there's almost, I mean, communities within communities or communities within Beaverton. And that's kind of the way, because it is such a big area, you know, almost 20 square miles. You have to think that even getting from one point of Beaverton all the way over to the other side of Beaverton is going to take you a very long time. And so if that's not something that's for you, if you want to keep your life a little bit more close, then looking at your location and knowing that traffic is going to be an issue because Beaverton's not tiny. So there's a lot of sprawling going on.
So another possible con is that we have a lot of tech in the Beaverton surrounding areas. Now that might not sound like, that could be a pro if you're looking for a job in that arena. But it seems like a lot of people in the Beaverton area work at the same place.
Exactly. You're going to see your neighbor at work, and then you're going to come home and you're going to see them again. It's a very small community, especially when if you know, because we have so many people in the tech industry, that people can feel a little claustrophobic sometimes in the Beaverton community, especially if they're living and working.
You can find in some communities that because Intel's such a huge employer, or Nike, and we say it a lot, it's not uncommon to walk down the street and many people are working at Intel and or Nike. I mean, those are our two biggest employers on the west side. So for some people, they want a little more diversity. Like we had done other videos on the east side where there's a lot more diversity and people work at various different places. On the west side, especially in places like living in Beaverton, you're going to find a lot of people work at the same place. So as we wrap up our journey through the pros and cons of living in Beaverton, remember, it's not just a place to live. It's about finding your own special corner of the world, or should we say a corner of Portland, Oregon, with lush greenery, welcoming faces, and the hum of opportunity. Beaverton invites you to consider making it home. Like any good story, living here comes with its highs and its lows, but it's the sum of those experiences that shape how you live.
So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, don't hesitate to reach out, explore more about making your move to the Portland area, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.